Thank you for taking the time to look at our video. My name is Dustin Nord with NG1 Technologies. I'm the creator and designer of the NG1 TechFlow exhaust. Basically what we have done is we've discovered a whole new theory within the standard fluid dynamics model. We actually have discovered how to increase the velocity of gases and fluids traveling through a pipe. We're now expanding the product range out to everything from pickup trucks to box trucks to tow trucks to the largest Class 8 in agriculture. We save on average around 10 to 13%, and we increase the flow of the exhaust by over 30% as it passes through the exhaust. What that does is allows more volumetric air into the cylinder and then that to be processed out. What we've learned is how to increase the velocity of gases and fluids as they travel through a pipe. So what happens when the front part of the exhaust is getting one flow, we're actually increasing it to the backside. So what that does is it creates a draw, just like a vacuum, up against the engine. So what's happening now in the Class 8 trucks when you have a turbo-driven system, the turbo is able to spool up much faster. So that turbo normally has a spool that lasts around 3.5 feet, then it turns into a laminar flow and then it baffles. That's the blub, 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 blub that you hear inside your diesel engines. With our system, right where that flow is starting to go to a laminar flow, that's where you put our system. And the inside of our design has a fin-like rifling effect in there. So when the air hits that fin, it flips over it just like an airplane wing. But instead of creating vertical lift, we're creating horizontal velocity along the pipe wall. So now where the velocities would normally be slowing, they're actually going faster. But what's so unique about our product is that whipping action going over top of our fin design spins a central high-speed bore. That high-speed bore has no friction put against it whatsoever, so it's a free flow bore. So when you put our system on, our system has about a 2-foot spool that goes forward. Well, what that does is when the turbo flow is starting to die out, our system's picking it back up and traveling that energy back up to the turbo, which allows the turbo to spool up much faster, and it gives you a much greater response to your throttle. So now when you put your foot on the pedal, what's happening is that turbo is pulling more heat from the cylinder. So now every detonation is getting more power and more torque per detonation, but what's also happening is we're reducing the emissions inside the cylinder without the need of a secondary catchment system. So what we've been able to do is create a system that creates a 10 to 20% fuel saving with an average needs of around 13 to 16% for the Class 8 trucking industry. But what we're also doing is we're cooling the engine running temperatures while we're increasing the power and torque. But the most difficult thing with all exhaust systems is how do you get it to quiet down without slowing down the flow? So then what we had to do is we had to discover a whole new methodology of sound cancellation. And we did that through sound deflection until it becomes a singularity wave. So basically what's happening is that the sound waves are being deflected into the sound absorbing materials until it becomes a singularity wave. When you bounce two singularity waves together, you have sound cancellation. So what that allows is what would normally be a straight pipe, and I talk through the straight pipe. Now, the same sound here, if we take the sound from here to here. So now we have a high flow, low pressure exhaust system that increases the torque and horsepower, allowing for each customer on average to save between 13 and 16%. Now what does that really mean to a Class 8 truck? On average, a Class 8 truck runs around 120,000 miles per year. So with 120,000 miles as your average, what we are able to do, even at today's fuel costs at $2 per gallon, what we're able to do is actually increase your fuel savings by about $150 to $250 per week. So what that's going to break down to for you is anywhere between a $5,000 and $10,000 savings per year, whether you're running a single driver or whether you're running a tandem team.
We're seeing about a mile per gallon, all city driving. But the biggest thing we notice is our drivers much happier with the power. We're shifting sooner, the truck uses less fuel, it pulls the trailers a lot better. That's probably the biggest thing we noticed.
Before y'all put it on here, it was 5.8, 5.9, and this week it's 7.76.
That's huge.
Well, he dropped down from 1,200 to about 680 bucks.
So we cut his fuel in half.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I
that's
spent,
what I'm talking about right now.
Normally I spend about 350 bucks on what I did. I did $150 worth, which is like 57 gallons, and I did 500 miles on it. That's at 63, 64 miles an hour.
NG1 TechFlow exhaust is one of the top fuel-saving devices of today. It has no moving parts, and it was the grand prize winner of the Clean Tech Open in 2014, the world's largest green technology competition, and it's made right here in the USA using state-of-the-art laser manufacturing.